All right, all right. How's everybody doing in the land of YouTube or the internet? We are trying out these new YouTube lives. One of our big goals for next year is to create and share more content that will add value to anyone growing a business, especially in the marketing side, the video marketing side. And towards the end of the year, you look back, you reflect, what's one thing that we've learned, I've learned the last year. This year was actually pretty unique in the fact that Video Power hit 10 years in business. We made it a decade, and it's a big accomplishment. And I really reflected on, like, man, what have been the big life lessons that I've learned growing a business and a family? And I put together 10 life lessons. You can see it here. I haven't been able to figure out my screen, but I want to dive into some of those today and share them with you. Basically, 10 life lessons from 10 years growing a business and a family. And if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, I'm really curious to know what have been some of your biggest life lessons or takeaways this last year. It's always fun to see what other people are learning, and again, we want to be more proactive, not only on YouTube but other social media platforms, just to show our work. Like we do some really cool projects as an agency, and we want to show more of our work, and so this is an opportunity for us to do that. So one of the life lessons I've learned is fix nervous with service. There are a lot of times where you can kind of feel fear creeping into your life. And maybe that's, oh, I don't know how to do this thing, or I don't know what to say on a video. I don't want to look like an idiot, or I don't know what to say with this new potential client where I'm about to build a strategy for, or like there's all these new experiences that happen. And typically that fear happens when we're thinking too much about ourselves. And that makes us nervous, right? Because we're nervous. How do we look? How do I sound? What am I going to say? But the thing is, everyone has accomplished something in our life that's valuable. That where you've learned something. And when you focus on sharing and providing value with others, that fear that you have decreases. So for me, one of the life lessons is, if I'm feeling that nervous or that fear creep up, okay, I need to lower the noise. And I do that by thinking less on myself and how can I add value to other people. So try that out. One of the other life lessons I have learned is look for the gaps, not the trees. So I like to go snowboarding. I take a yearly trip with a bunch of guys, and we go backcountry snowboarding up in Canada. And we helicopter up to the lodge, and it's basically 3 days of powder, and it's a lot of fun. And it can also be a little intimidating because you're flying down the mountain and there's a bunch of trees that you have to dodge, and it can be intimidating. And one of the tricks they tell you when you're up there is don't look at the trees, look at the gap, look at the openings, because your body will follow where your eyes go. And if you're only focused on the trees, you're going to increase the chances of you hitting the trees. Whereas if you focus on the gap or the opening, you're going to, pass through the trees. And just like snowboarding, it's the same thing with business and life. If we're only focused on the obstacles or kind of what's going wrong, we're going to increase the chances of us hitting the challenges or the problems. Versus if we focus on the opening or the opportunities or what is going well, we're going to increase the chances of things going well. Like, what you focus on is what happens. So as you're navigating life and business, focus on the gaps, not the trees. Basically, focus on the opportunities, not the problems. All right. The other one I wanted to share was people over profit. There's a lot of times where, like, they're both two important things, right? Having people and good relationships in your life is really important. And having money and the resources to be able to take care of your team, your family, and life is also really important. sometimes there's been several occasions over the last decade where, man, this relation, like, we made a mistake. It's going to cost us some money, but if I own it and accept it, it's going to preserve and save this relationship. And I would be right to say, hey, it's you, you owe us this, and this is what's due. And I'd be completely in the right, but I also know that could ruin the relationship. So to tie a story to this, we worked with a client. We're a big name in the industry, and we were newer to as an agency and newer to running YouTube ads. And they gave us a really good budget. Said, hey, if you can take this budget and if you can hit these goals, we want to keep working with you. And we had 2 months to prove the concept. And we created the videos, managed the campaigns, and we did not hit the goals, like not even close. So I reached back out and said, hey, look, this is what happened. It didn't work out. I'm sorry. We didn't hit the goals that we thought we would because of this, this, and this. He's like, okay, no worries. Like, what did we learn from it? Well, we learned this and this and this. I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's keep in touch. So a couple months go by, and YouTube had made some big changes to their platform, and we also made some improvements on how we work with our clients. So I reached back out to them, and I'm like, hey, there's been these updates to YouTube, and we've improved this, and I think your campaigns will work again. It's okay, let's try it. So we tried another 2 months, the same budget. And we finished the job, and we didn't quite hit their goals, but we were so close. It almost worked out. He's like, hey, we were better this time, but let's give it some more time and we'll come back. I said, okay. So again, another 3 or 4 months later, we made some improvements as an agency. YouTube had a couple of updates in the pipeline, and I reached back out to him and I said, hey, we made these improvements. I think this has got to work now. We made it so close. And with these improvements, I really think we can hit the goals and numbers that you're wanting to accomplish. So we gave it a third try, and we crushed it. It worked out so well. And we worked with them for 6 or 7 years. It was an awesome relationship because I valued that relationship more than the money. And even though the money wasn't there, by putting that relationship front and center and focusing on adding value, we didn't hit it the first couple times, but because the relationship was still intact, and we didn't get angry and mad at each other, that third time we were able to crush it and both made a lot of money. So that's one of the life lessons I find. The other one that also has to do with money, and it might feel like it's at odds with the previous principle, but it's a principle called profit first. And it basically, actually, I'll start with a story. My third or fourth year in business, we had made a lot of money, but I went and checked my P&L statement as a company, and I had a 1% profit margin. So while, yes, we made a lot of money, we didn't keep a lot of money either. And it was really frustrating. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm putting all this work in. And because I didn't know how to manage my finances, I didn't keep a lot of money. There's a book out there. It's called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, and it teaches you to build your business model where the profit is built into your services. So basically, in a typical P&L, you got your revenue minus expenses equals your profit. Where let's flip that around. So your revenue minus your profit, and then you have the rest as expenses. And what this allows, so basically to implement this, you've got 5 different bank accounts, and all the money flows into one bank account. It's going to look something like this, right? All flows into the bank account, and then that's your main one. And then it spills over into 4 other ones. Imagine this waterfall that goes into this main pool, and then that main pool trickles into 4 different other pools. And that first bank account is your profit. Take out a flat 10%, 15 or 20%, whatever that is, right off the top, and put it in that bank account. Then the next expense is typically payroll or your people. All right, pull that money out, put it in the people or payroll section. And then the third one would be your operation expenses. Pull that money out, put it in the operations. And then you can have the fifth one would be reserved for taxes, and you allocate a percentage of taxes. And you can set this up so it's automated. So once a month we go in, we make the transfers, and I don't have to worry if we're making money. I don't have to worry about making payroll. I don't have to worry about saving up money for taxes because it's already built in, and it's such a huge time saver. So if you are running a business, I highly recommend the book Profit First. That's been a game changer. Another life lesson is something is always broken, and that's okay. So think of in business, you've got different aspects of any business, right? You got your marketing about getting your message out to the masses and getting a lot of people there. Then from marketing, if it does its job, it increases the sales conversations. And basically that's like, this is what we can do at this price. And you just trade, right? You basically trade time or services or products in exchange for money. That transaction happens. And then you've got fulfillment. Can we fulfill on what we said we would, whether that's the product or the service? And between those three aspects of a business, or like components of a business, there's always something broken. So when marketing does its job, it puts stress on the sales. We've launched several ad campaigns for clients where the ads do their job, and they say, hey, the ads are working too well. Our sales team is overwhelmed. They can't keep up with all the leads. Can you turn down the ad spend? Right? So basically, marketing can break sales. And then what happens is, okay, now you got to fix the sales problem. And when sales does its job, it puts pressure on fulfillment. Can we fulfill all these orders in time? And then once you built out the fulfillment process, now you go back to having a marketing problem. Hey, we got to have a marketing campaign. Like, we got the fulfillment and the sales, and now we just need more leads. And it's just a cycle where something's always broken. You identify what's broken, you fix it, and you move on to the next problem. Identify it, fix it, move on to the next. And I used to get like really overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, this is always broken. And I realized there's always going to be something to fix, always something to be working on. And I don't have to stress over about it. Like, just embrace it, because if a business doesn't have any problems, you probably don't have any customers or clients, and you're probably out of business. So just embrace the fact that something's always broken and fix it and keep moving on. And in the act of fixing problems in the business, you also improve yourself as well. So it's a way not only for your company to grow, but also yourself to grow as a human. Okay. The other one. It's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. Okay. Here's the image that I got. It's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. What does that mean? In business and life, we are in our own side. Like, we're in our own bottles, and we think we know what's best, and we think like we just go through the world in our bottles. And especially if you work from home or you're a solopreneur, or like, it can get really lonely, and you think you know the message that you're sharing out with the world, but you really don't know that, because it depends on what the label that other people are reading. And we can get stuck. And especially if you're in marketing or sales and people aren't wanting to work with you or purchase from you, you got to get their perspective. You got to get what that looks like from outside the bottle. And what does that look like? That means get a business coach who can help you, or a coach who can help read your blind spots. That could mean building a team with people who have different talents and perspectives than you do. Go to masterminds and surround yourself with other people who are where you want to be and get their perspective. And that way, when you do that, you can get their perspectives, you can see your blind spots, and you can start to improve yourself piece by piece. In fact, just the other day, as an agency, we were building out some new funnels and campaigns with creating some new products and funnels for us. And I'm like, hey, I think we should do this way. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I started to get pushback from people on my team. Like, why would we do that? Let's just do this. And I said, you know what? This was what I was thinking, but now that you mentioned it, that's probably a better way to do it. And so we switched directions, uh, it's a better. We're better off because of it. So get outside the bottle, right? Have somebody else help you read what that label is, and that's how you can improve. All right. Um, the other one is get really good at plate spinning. And basically, there's a common phrase out there where people say um, it's about work life balance, and that never really resonated with me because um, you can't be balancing everything at the same time. So, for example, in your life, you have your work life, and then you could have your family life, and then you could also have your, faith or community service life, and then you can also there's different aspects of your life, and whenever you're in one place, you can't be at another place. When I'm at work, I also actually that's not true because I work from home, and this is the point I'm getting at is sometimes people have their work life and they show up as a different person in the work life, and then they have their family life and they're a different person with their family, and then with their friends or with their the faith community or whatever that is, different communities, and we show up in different selves, and it's hard to balance all of those out, and we start to kind of get fragmented. And what's been helpful for me is to integrate the work and family. I do work from home, and sometimes my work life clashes with my family life. There's been several times I'm on an important call with a potential client pitching them a strategy, and my daughter will bust open the door and she'd be like, "Dad, it's time to go to the movies." Because I promised her we'd go to the movies. And I'm sitting there looking at the client, I'm looking at her, I'm like, what do I do? Because my two worlds are crashing. And you know what? Just accept it. My daughter just is curious about what I'm doing, and she wants to see who I'm talking to. So I brought her in and I introduced her to the client. The client said, "Hey, nice to meet you." And the client was great, anyways. Um, and then my daughter leaves, and I was worried, what's the client gonna say? Is he gonna be like, "I can't believe your dog"? But no, he was super cool. He's like, "Hey, I know you got a family. Let's work. We want to work with you. Let's make it happen." And so I've really stopped trying to separate the work and life. I'm like, hey, you know what? There's times where we just need to integrate it and build it together. And it's been awesome. It definitely removes the tension and stress. And along with that, again, so I call it plate spinning, right? So we have our family plate. We get that spinning so it can take care of itself. And then we have our work plate. We get that business so it can take care of itself. And then, you know what? Sometimes we neglect to take care of ourselves, but we got to take care of ourselves too, like the fun plate. Get that spinning. And then guess what? You might see that your work plate is starting to wobble. Okay, we got to go back and start spinning that plate. And then you know what? Man, I'm not taking very good care of myself. I need to start exercising. Get the fitness plate spinning. And you can only spin one plate at a time. So spin that plate, all your 100% of your attention. And then when you see other plates start to wobble, go back, get those plates spinning. And so that's been helpful as well when I'm trying to think of how to integrate family and work and to be present with wherever I am. Is, man, when I'm at work, I'll be at work and I'll get all that stuff done. And when I'm with my family, I'm going to show up with my family and get that done. So think of those different plates in your life and focus on one and keep spinning it. Will be helpful. Awesome. Well, we are coming on late. I'm curious, you guys, what's been something that you've learned that's been helpful this last year? Could be a lesson learned in business or family or whatever. Curious, drop in the comments and we can start that conversation there. To wrap things up, I'm going to leave off with one more. It's called fall forward. And this is another snowboarding analogy, right? So again, this goes back to snowboarding up in Canada, and you go cat skiing. And the nice thing is it's not a resort where everything's groomed. You're in deep powder. And if you haven't ridden powder before, it can be challenging because On a normal ski resort, if you fall in a groomer, you can push yourself back up and keep going on the mountain, no problem. But if you fall in the backcountry in powder and you fall back, you can't really push yourself up because you push on the powder and you just keep going deeper. And so it can be really challenging. So to overcome that, they say you need to fall forward. So when you're going down the mountain and you're going to fall, like tuck and lean forward rather than lean back. And the reason why is if you fall forward, you can somersault, kind of roll on your back shoulders, and then come back around and land on the snowboard and keep riding down versus falling straight flat back and getting stuck. And so it's the same thing with life and business. We are going to fall, we're going to make mistakes, and we could sit back, we could fall backwards and throw ourselves a pity party and get mad at everyone else and be frustrated and mad. Or we could fall forward like, hey, what am I learning from this? I'm going through this experience because I need to learn something. I'm going through this experience so I can become the person that I was born to be, that I'm supposed to be. And when we can tackle challenges with that, our roadblocks become stepping stones, and we can fall forward. We can learn from it. We can get back up on our feet and keep going without causing a huge hassle. So that fall forward principle not only helped me with snowboarding, but it's helped with business and life in general. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm curious, if you haven't, let me know what's been a life lesson for you. Would love to hear. And hopefully this is helpful. I hope hopefully something I said maybe landed or resonated and will help you out. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.